What if I told you that the greatest secret wasn't hidden in an ancient temple or a classified government vault, but inside the invisible field surrounding you every second of your life? For centuries, mystics spoke of a mysterious frequency capable of transforming perception, intuition, and the way people experience reality. Most dismissed it as myth. Others claimed it was deliberately forgotten. But what if the real question isn't whether this frequency exists? What if it's whether you've been too distracted to notice it? In today's exploration, we'll dive into the idea of the so-called forbidden frequency, why so many people believe it has remained hidden, and how changing the way you think, feel, and focus may completely reshape the reality you experience. Stay until the end, because one insight could change the way you see everything.
This is a vibration that exists at the very foundation of physical reality, a frequency so fundamental that the matter in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the space between the stars are all expressions of it. And for most of human history, no one could even describe it, let alone work with it deliberately. But in the last century, something changed. Physicists stumbled upon this frequency almost by accident, and what they found was so strange, so disorienting to everything they believed about how the universe works, that the discovery was quietly absorbed into the equations and almost never spoken about in plain language. It was not hidden from you on purpose. It was hidden from you because the people who found it did not know what to do with it either. What I am about to share with you is not mysticism dressed up as science, and it is not science stripped of its deeper implications. It is the place where those two rivers meet, and by the end of this, you will understand not just what this frequency is, but why your nervous system already knows it, why your life keeps producing the same patterns when you lose contact with it, and how to bring yourself back into resonance with it using nothing more than your own attention and your own body. Let us start where the discovery began. In the early 20th century, a physicist named Max Planck was trying to solve what seemed like a minor technical problem. He was working on something called black body radiation, which is just the way heated objects emit energy. The equations at the time predicted that a heated object should release infinite energy at short wavelengths, which obviously did not happen. The math said one thing, reality said another. Planck tried everything to reconcile the two, and finally, almost in desperation, he introduced a mathematical trick. He proposed that energy was not emitted in a smooth, continuous stream the way water flows from a faucet. Instead, it came in tiny, discrete packets. He called these packets quanta, and the size of each packet was determined by a very specific number, a constant that Planck himself calculated. That number is 6.626 times 10 to the negative 34th joules per second. It is known as Planck's constant, and it is one of the most fundamental numbers in all of physics. Now here is what most people miss about this. Planck did not discover that energy sometimes behaves in packets. He discovered that energy always behaves in packets, at every scale, in every interaction. The universe does not do smooth. It does not do continuous. At the most fundamental level, reality is granular. It clicks, it steps, it pulses, and the size of those pulses, the rhythm of that clicking, is set by this one constant. This means that the universe has a beat, not metaphorically, literally. There is a minimum unit of action, a smallest possible change, and everything that happens, every photon emitted, every electron that shifts orbit, every chemical bond that forms in your brain as you process these words happens in multiples of that beat. The universe is not a river, it is a drum. But Planck's constant was only the beginning. Because once physicists accepted that energy comes in discrete packets, they had to ask the next question. What happens between the packets? What exists in the gap between one quantum step and the next? And the answer they arrived at, after decades of experiment and argument, is one of the strangest truths ever uncovered. Between the steps, nothing is determined. Between the pulses, reality exists as pure potential, not as one thing or another, but as every possible thing, simultaneously. This is not philosophy. This is the superposition principle, and it has been confirmed by every experiment ever designed to test it. Think about what this means. The fabric of your experience, the solid floor beneath you, the screen in front of you, the body you inhabit. All of it is built from particles that spend most of their existence in a state of undetermined potential. They are not somewhere specific until something causes them to choose. And that something, as it turns out, is measurement, observation, interaction, the act of looking. This is where the forbidden frequency begins to reveal itself. Because if reality pulses in discrete steps, and if the state of each pulse is not determined until it is observed, then there is a frequency at which reality itself is refreshing. Not the frequency of any particular particle or wave, but the frequency of the process by which potential becomes actual. The rate at which the universe chooses itself into existence. And this is where mainstream physics gets uncomfortable, because the equations describe this process beautifully. Quantum field theory can predict the behavior of particles to 12 decimal places of accuracy. But the equations do not explain why observation matters. They do not explain why a photon exists as a spread-out wave of probability until a detector clicks and then suddenly becomes a single point. They describe the what. They are silent on the why. And that silence is where the forbidden frequency lives. Let me take you deeper into this. In 1948, a Dutch physicist named Hendrik Casimir predicted something remarkable. He said that if you take two perfectly flat metal plates and bring them extremely close together in a vacuum with nothing between them, no air, no light, no particles of any kind, the plates will be pushed together by an invisible force. This sounded absurd. How can nothing push something? But when the experiment was finally performed with sufficient precision, Casimir was right. The plates moved. Something in the vacuum, in what we call empty space, was exerting a measurable physical force. What Casimir had discovered is now called the Casimir effect, and it is direct evidence of something that quantum field theory had been predicting since the 1920s. Empty space is not empty. Even when you remove every particle, every photon, every trace of matter and energy, the vacuum still seethes with activity. It is filled with what physicists call zero-point fluctuations, tiny spontaneous vibrations in the quantum fields that permeate all of space. These are not fluctuations of something. They are fluctuations of the fields themselves, the fields from which all particles and forces emerge, and they cannot be removed. They are the irreducible minimum. The floor beneath the floor. The energy contained in these fluctuations is called zero-point energy, and its theoretical density is almost incomprehensibly large. When physicists calculate how much energy should exist in every cubic centimeter of empty space based on quantum field theory, they get a number so enormous that it exceeds the total energy of all the matter in the observable universe. By a factor of about 10 to the 120th power. This is not a small discrepancy. It is the largest mismatch between theory and observation in the history of science. It is sometimes called the vacuum catastrophe, and it remains unsolved. But here is what matters for what we are exploring together. Whether the calculated value is correct or wildly off, the zero-point fluctuations themselves are real. The Casimir effect proves they exist. They have been measured. They exert force. And they are everywhere, in every point of space at every moment, including the space inside your body right now. This means that what you call empty space, the gaps between your atoms, the silence between your thoughts, the pause between your heartbeats, is not empty. It is vibrating. It is alive with a kind of foundational hum, a frequency that exists below everything else, beneath every sound, every light wave, every neural signal. It is the frequency of the vacuum itself, the tone the universe makes when it is doing nothing at all except existing. And you have felt it. You may not have had a name for it, but you have felt it. There are moments in life when the noise drops away and something else becomes audible, not to your ears, to something deeper. Maybe it happened in the middle of the night, when you woke for no reason, and the world was perfectly still. And for just a few seconds, before your mind started generating thoughts, you felt a kind of hum beneath everything, a presence in the silence. Or maybe it happened during an experience of deep awe, standing somewhere vast, a mountain, an ocean, a sky full of stars. If you've been doing everything right and reality still hasn't shifted, this is the one thing nobody has told you. You meditate, you visualize, you affirm every single morning, and still, somehow, the life you're calling in stays just out of reach. It is not your effort. It is not your mindset. There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before, and you felt your sense of self thin out and something immense press in. That was not just an emotion. That was your nervous system, for a brief moment, dropping below its usual noise floor and making contact with the vibration that is always there underneath. If this is resonating with you, if something in these ideas feels like it is confirming what you have always sensed but could not articulate, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. This is the frequency that has been hidden from you, not by conspiracy, not by any deliberate act of suppression. It has been hidden by noise, by the sheer volume of stimulation that modern life pours through your senses every waking moment, by the constant chatter of a mind that has been trained to narrate, evaluate, and react to everything it encounters, by a nervous system that is almost never allowed to settle into deep enough stillness to detect what lives beneath its own activity. Think of it this way. Imagine you live next to a waterfall. The sound is so constant, so ever-present, that after a while you stop hearing it. It becomes part of the background. You could not describe it if someone asked, because it has become invisible to your attention. Now imagine that one day the waterfall stops, and in the sudden silence, you hear something you have never heard before. A low, steady tone that was always there, always vibrating through the rock and the water and the air, but was completely masked by the roar of the falls. The waterfall is your mind. The roar is the endless stream of thoughts, reactions, judgments, plans, memories, and projections that fill your waking consciousness. And the tone underneath is the zero-point hum of reality itself, the foundational frequency from which everything in your experience, including your mind, arises. Now, I want to be precise here, because precision matters. I am not saying that you can literally hear zero-point fluctuations with your ears. The frequencies involved are far beyond the range of human hearing. What I am saying is that your body is a quantum system. Every atom in your cells participates in quantum processes. The chemical bonds that hold your DNA together, the electron transfers that power your mitochondria, the ion channels that fire your neurons. All of these are quantum events, governed by the same principles, shaped by the same fields, pulsing at multiples of the same fundamental constant. You are not separate from the quantum field. You are an expression of it, a localized pattern in it. And when the noise of your surface-level processing quiets down enough, the deeper pattern becomes perceptible, not as sound, as coherence, as a felt sense of alignment with something that was always there. This is where we need to talk about what coherence actually means, because the word gets used loosely, and I want you to understand it with the kind of specificity that makes it useful rather than decorative. In physics, coherence describes a very particular relationship between waves. Two waves are coherent when they maintain a consistent, stable phase relationship with each other. Their peaks and troughs line up in a predictable way. A laser is coherent light. All the photons are in step, vibrating together, which is why a laser beam can travel vast distances without spreading out and can cut through steel. Ordinary light, like sunlight, is incoherent. The photons are all vibrating at different phases, going in different directions, canceling each other out as often as they reinforce each other. Same energy, vastly different effect. Now apply this to your nervous system. Your brain generates electromagnetic activity. This is not metaphor. It is measurable with an EEG. Different states of consciousness produce different patterns of brainwave activity. When you are anxious, scattered, reactive, your brainwaves are incoherent. Different regions are firing at different frequencies, out of phase with each other, like sunlight. The energy is there, but it is diffuse, unfocused, canceling itself out. When you are deeply focused, calm, present, something shifts. The brainwaves across different regions begin to synchronize. They come into phase. They become coherent. And the effect is not subtle. Coherent brain states are associated with enhanced perception, faster processing, deeper insight, and what researchers in contemplative neuroscience call flow states. But here is the part that connects this to the forbidden frequency. Research at the HeartMath Institute and elsewhere has shown that coherence is not just a brain phenomenon. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field roughly 60 times stronger than your brain's. And when your heart rhythm becomes coherent, which happens when you enter states of genuine appreciation, compassion, or deep calm, it pulls your brain into coherence with it. And when heart and brain are coherent, your entire physiology shifts. Immune function improves. Hormonal balance shifts. Inflammation decreases. And subjectively, people in this state report a quality of perception that is hard to describe but unmistakable. A sense of being connected to something larger. A feeling that the boundary between inside and outside has become thinner.
If this message resonated with you, perhaps the most important frequency was never something hidden from humanity. It was the one waiting for your awareness. The quantum field doesn't ask you to believe blindly. It invites you to observe, question, and experience life with greater intention. Every thought you choose, every emotion you cultivate, and every action you take shapes the person you become. Maybe the greatest discovery isn't finding a forbidden frequency, but realizing you've had the ability to tune your own consciousness all along. If this exploration expanded your perspective, subscribe for more journeys into consciousness, the mysteries of reality, and the hidden possibilities of the human mind. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and keep exploring the unknown.